Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of #OnlyMe, the podcast where we dive into those moments in life where you think, this could only happen to me. You know, those ridiculous, unique, sometimes downright unbelievable situations that leave you wondering if anybody else has ever been through the same thing? So to kick things off, I thought I'd start with a story of my own, and let me just say, it's a wild one. It involves childhood stage fright, a cross-country move to LA, working on Will and Grace, and an accidental prescription mix-up. Stick with me. I promise it all makes sense, or well, as much sense as it can make. So, the first scene was early aspirations in theatrical beginnings. When I was a kid, I just knew I was destined to be in entertainment. I loved to dance, sing, act, anything that got me in front of a crowd. I was the kid always putting on shows, making people laugh, and begging my family to watch my performances. I even joined some pretty unique groups over the years. I was in an a cappella singing group, yes, the kind where you belt out harmonies with no backup music. I did musicals, and then there was this thing called theater for the absurd. Honestly, I don't even know if I fully understood what that meant at the time, but I was in. Oh, and let's not forget the bell ringing choir. Picture this, me standing on stage with a giant bell in each hand, harmonizing with a friend, and even landing a solo. Peak performance, people. Peak. But then one day, it all came crashing down. I woke up with this sudden, overwhelming stage fright. Like, I'm talking frozen, sweaty, possible poop in my pants, vomit, my soul stage fright. After that, I decided maybe I'd be better off behind the scenes. So I threw myself into set design, makeup, costumes, you name it. I still loved being part of the magic, even if I wasn't the one in the spotlight. Let's cut to Act 2, college and the shark job. So when it came time for college, I followed my love for entertainment to a degree in TV and film. I adored it. Editing especially felt like my jam, crafting stories, piecing things together. But then came my first internship. Picture this, me sitting alone in a dark cubicle at the Museum of Science, staring at hours of underwater footage. My sole job? Writing down the exact timestamp every time a shark appeared. 8 hours a day. Every single day. At first I thought, this is fine, I can handle this. By day 3, I was ready to throw my notebook into the ocean. I swear by the end, I was rooting for the sharks to eat the cameraman just to break up the monotony. That's when I knew if I wanted to make it in this industry, I had to cut to the chase. It was time to pack my bags and move to LA. Cut to Act 3, the move to LA. So my mom and I flew to San Diego. My mom had a cousin who worked at a Toyota dealership, so we got a great deal on a Scion TC, and my mom and I drove up to Los Angeles. Once there, the way I found my studio apartment was by going on one of those bus tours around LA and asking the tour person, what's this neighborhood like? Is it good for looking for jobs? Is it good for meeting new people? Are there hot guys around? I found my studio apartment and hit the ground running. For work, I scoured Craigslist, taking any free gig I could find. After months of hustling, I landed a job as a production assistant on the last season of Will and Grace. I was over the moon, but with excitement came a lot of anxiety, so I found a doctor who prescribed me Klonopin to take as needed. Now here's the funny part. Everyone on set thought it was so ridiculous how bad my stage fright was. Like, they thought it was hysterical. I would always just move the sweat off my sweat stash. People called me Sweat Stash McGee. Even my Peloton name now is Sweat Stash McGee. I mean, constantly wiping my sweat stash, trembling, and they loved it. So much so that they started putting me in scenes as an extra just to watch me awkwardly frame the background while trying to hold it together. They'd say, we need you in this shot, Kramer, but really they just wanted a laugh. They even nicknamed me Dirty Sanchez. I mean, talk about character building. Anywho, let's cut to Act 4. The prescription mix-up. Life on Will and Grace was a whirlwind. Between work, socializing, I was living my best life until my Klonopin prescription ran out. I went back to my doctor for a refill, and that's when things took a turn. She kept asking me to repeat the name of the medication, and I didn't understand why. So I handed her the bottle. She stared at it and said, "Who's Robert Henry?" I was like, I don't know, the pharmacist? She held up the bottle and said, "No, this prescription isn't for Klonopin, it's for Cialis, and it's for Robert Henry." Yep, I'd been taking Robert Henry's Cialis for 3 months. And poor Robert Henry, he'd been chilling on my Klonopin, probably wondering why he couldn't care less about sex anymore. The doctor threw the bottle in the trash and said, "You do not need a refill." And honestly, she was right. Those 3 months, well, a lot was explained. I was, let's say, tachycardic and in heat. Anywho, let's cut to Act 5, the turning point. After Will and Grace ended, I worked on a bunch of TV shows. I even worked myself up to the writing department, which was great. However, I was pretty much just buying them lunch and sitting around all day. One day, one of the writers started bitching about having the wrong Tabasco sauce, and I said, "That's it. There's people dying in the world, and I'm mad about hot sauce? Get out of here." I realized I wanted to do more. I didn't think I was smart enough to be a nurse, but deep down, it's what I always wanted. So I moved back to Boston, moved in with my parents, and figured it out. Now I'm a surgical nurse running an office-based surgical center in Brookline, Massachusetts. It's been a wild journey, but I wouldn't change a thing. Every ridiculous moment led me here. Yeah, so that's my story. Just your average tale of stage fright, sweat stashes, and a prescription mix-up. That turned my life into a rom-com. But here's the thing, I know I can't be the only person with a story this ridiculous. That's what this podcast is all about. I want to hear your stories, those moments where you thought, this could only happen to me. If you've got one, send it my way. Who knows, you might just hear it on a future episode. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Also, feel free to reach out to me, or you can just email me at onlymepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks. Have a good one.